Okay, today we are learning about area of three different figures, rectangles, squares, and parallelograms. A rectangle is a four-sided figure with opposite sides congruent and four right angles. So let's say rectangle right here. Okay, and the blank of a figure is the number of square units needed to cover a surface. You can use a formula to find the area of the rectangle. So this is area. The area, which is what we are doing, of the figure. So this is like if you were in your bedroom and replacing carpet or wood flooring, this would be the area of the floor. Just covering it, or painting a wall, that would be area. And so this is the formula that we're going to use to find area. A equals base times height. This B stands for base, and this H stands for height. So let's get started. There are three steps that we're always going to have. We're going to write the formula, which I just told you was A equals base times height. Okay, that would be step one. Step two, and I need you to write this underneath, we're going to plug in. Okay, so we wrote the formula, we're going to plug in. So let's identify. Your base is going sideways and your height is up and down, just like if you were to measure your height at a doctor's office, you would stand up straight and tall. So base here is 7 and 5. So here we would write the formula plugging in our values. So A equals, and because we know B is 7, instead of writing B, we're going to write 7. Okay, and then height is 5, and so instead of writing H, we're going to write a 5 right here. Now that looks like a 75, so it's super important to know that when two numbers are next to each other, two letters, this means multiply. Okay, so when I plug into this formula, I always put that second number inside parentheses, which also indicates multiplication. Okay, so then area, step 3 is solve. So here we have 7 times, so this would be if it was a more complicated problem and not a multiplication fact that you should know. We would come here and we would set up our solving work and give us space to work. And then number 5 is your answer. Let's just write answer right here. Answer. Okay, so then A equals, we always write A equals on all of 3 steps, so you should see A equals 3 times. And that's 35, and then your inches, and then squared. So when we are solving for area, it's always units squared when we write our final answer. Okay, so let's try that again. Number 2, we have our formula again, so that we are going to write our formula, A equals base times height. Your base goes side to side, and your height standing up straight and tall. Okay, I always label my figure, and if it's a word problem and doesn't give me a figure, then it's important that you draw it, okay, and then label. So then next step, so that was step 1. Step 2, we are plugging in. Okay, so then area equals, instead of writing B, what are we writing? 2.1. And then we're going to put our second number in parentheses. And instead of writing H, what are we writing? We are writing 3.3. Okay, so this is not mental math. We definitely need to write this down. So step 3, remember when I write, you write, so you should have this on your paper. Step 3 is solving. So 2.1 times 3.3. That's 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. Okay, and then we have 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 0. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. We're going to add them up. which is 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. My pen keeps going in and out, apparently. And then 6. And then we're going to bring our decimal back in. And our answer, number 4, or step 4, our answer, okay, is 6.93. Our unit is centimeters. And then what do we always put? I forgot A equals. What do we always put above our unit? And that is squared. And then we are going to box our answer. Now, it's okay if you were to take this right here and move your work to the side, and then you would just bring your answer up and have your work off to the side. I almost prefer that, so I'll show you on the next problem, or on the parallelograms, I should say. Okay, so that was rectangles, base times height, and we only have 2 examples today because we have 3 different shapes we're going to talk about. And our third shape is a square. So a square is a rectangle with all sides equal. And then since the length and width are congruent, you can write the formula for area of a square using an exponent. So this formula right here does not go away. It actually becomes more important every year, especially in 8th grade, that we use A equals S squared. And the reason why I say that is because if we look at this square right here, that is a side to side. That could also be your base. And this could be your height right here. So the reason why we learn this on the same day is because area equals base times height works. It works for a square because a square is a rectangle. But this formula is what we are going to use because it becomes so much more important with your geometry later on. And also we need to be familiar with exponents. So, just be aware. So here we have a square, and instead of writing base and height, we're going to just write S for our side length. Okay, so step 1, formula. Okay, so let's write our formula, which is A equals S squared. Please don't just put S squared or just BH. A equals. What are we solving for? We're solving for area. So it's super important that we have the A equals. Okay. Step 2, plug in. Okay. What is our side length? Our side length is 10. So 10 squared. 10 goes in the place of S in this problem. Okay. So this is where I say step 3 is to solve. So here, 10 squared, what does it mean to be 10 squared? What are we doing here? I hope at this point everybody said 10 times 10. We worked on exponents a lot in understanding this. 10 times 10 equals 100, and then step 4 is your answer. So again, writing A equals 100 yards squared, and then boxing your answer. Okay. Again, so here it is a square, so we have one number in our problem, which is your side length. Okay, so step 1, formula. Step 2, plug in. Step 3, solve. Step 4, answer. Okay, please press pause and solve this problem using all 4 steps, and then press play when you have finished. Okay, so for this one, you should have gotten A equals S squared, followed by A equals 1.3 squared. 1.3 squared's work is right here. And then writing your final answer and boxing it, making sure that you have this feet squared. You have feet because you have your unit, and then you also squared it here. Okay. So that's actually going to be all for this video, and then we're going to have a second video for area of a parallelogram.